Hey everybody, welcome back to Laser Engraving 911. So it's that time and it's upon us again. It's Prime Big Deal Days and it's going on right now. Today is the last day. Now, in the past, I've done Prime Days about general tools for any laser engraving shop, must-have tools in your laser engraving business, but this time we're going to focus specifically on mobile laser engraving and all the tools and supplies that you can get for your mobile laser engraving business. So I'm talking about power supplies, lighting, tables, everything that you could possibly need to take your mobile laser engraving business on the road, whether you're doing craft fairs, whether you're doing corporate events. I'm gonna list my top 20 must-have picks that you can get right now on Amazon Prime and take advantage of all their deals. I've found the best discounts, the best supplies just for you, and we're gonna drop them right here so you don't have to wonder if you have everything you need next time you take your laser engraving business on the road. So if that sounds like something you want to get into, then buckle up, get your pen and paper out, because we're about to get into it on Laser Engraving 911. All right, let's kick this party off. We are going to be talking about my top 20 plus items that I think that you should have at any mobile laser engraving or crafting event where you're taking your shop with you and you're doing live engraving or you're doing custom patches or whatever. And we're going to take advantage of the big Prime Day deals that are going on today so you can maximize your savings. So the first category we're going to get into is power supplies. Now, when you go to these mobile events, sometimes the event will be able to provide you with some power supplies, but you may not always have that option. You may be in a remote area. It depends on the type of craft show, the type of craft fest or corporate event. You need to be able to have your own power and be sufficient. So I've got 3 different mobile power supplies for you that I'm going to recommend that are all discounted right now. Let's get into the first one. So the first one is the EcoFlow Delta 2. Now, this one is 50% off right now, which is crazy. And this little unit is totally enough to power the F1, the F1 Ultra, even the F2 Ultra. You would be surprised. The F1 Ultra and the F2 Ultra and most 30-watt fiber lasers, 50-watt fiber lasers, they actually don't draw a lot of wattage when they're running. And since you're not running them constantly at these events, you're just doing little engravings here and there, they really don't draw that much power. So something like the EcoFlow Delta 2 can totally power those devices, and it could even power something like a small laptop to run the software. So check this out. There's this one picture I like here. Let's zoom in on here. As you can see, this unit right here has plenty of power to last at least a 3-hour mobile laser engraving event. It's got all the outlets you need in the back, plus it's got USB ports. And if it's not enough power, you can actually go to the extra capacity where you can link them together and stack them on top to get about 6 hours of runtime on your laser, on your lights, at your booth, whatever. I thought this was a pretty good deal at 50% off. The double stack is 45% off. It's a lithium type battery. It's rechargeable. You recharge it at home. It's quiet. It doesn't make any noise. Just a super excellent mobile power supply for these kind of events. And it's an inverter, so you can power regular 120 stuff from it. Now, if you need a little bit more power, let's move on to the next one. This is not a mobile battery power supply. This is actually a quiet gas generator inverter. This one's 3,600 watts. Remember the last one we looked at had a capacity of about 1,000 watts that it could handle at a time. This one can handle a lot more wattage, and it's gas powered, and it's quiet. And most importantly, if you're planning on doing something like a hat bar or laser engraving patches on the fly and you need to press those patches onto the hats using a hat press, well, guess what? Those hat presses draw about 700 watts when they're on the correct setting for pressing patches onto hats. So you're going to need something like this that can handle those wattages without quickly draining the battery. And this kind of mobile gas inverter generator that's quiet is what you're going to want. You could get a couple of these, you could get 2 of these, but this will definitely handle any kind of heat press, and it will handle a laser, like a diode laser, like the F1 Ultra or the S1 by Xtool. It will handle all those needs, and you can just bring an extra can of gas if you need to put more gas in it. And it's quiet, so it's not going to disturb your neighbors. So it's about 20% off right now. Wen is a great brand. They've been around for a while. They're not some fly-by-night generator company, but this is one of my picks for if you need a little bit more capacity and be able to run more items in your mobile laser engraving event that draw more wattage, like a shirt press or a hat press. And then finally, I want to go on to the last one, which is if you need all the power. Now, the drawback to getting something like this GenMax here, it's got a 15,000 watt capacity, meaning it can handle items that are drawing wattage up to 15,000 watts, but that's just its like spike rating. It actually can do a steady 11,000 watts, which is insane. You could run multiple hat presses, multiple shirt presses if you're doing like DTF stuff, doing custom shirts or stuff like that. It can run all your computers, all your lights, all your fume extractors, all that kind of stuff. But the drawback is that it is loud. It is not one of those quiet inverter generators. It would definitely need to be set off away from your tent and not to disturb the whole show. So this is just something to consider if you have that extra space and you need a lot of power. This is the kind of unit that you would want to look at. It's 20% off right now. It's $1,500. GenMax is a great brand. I have 2 of them here. I use them actually at my home as a backup for when the power goes out. So there's 3 different power supplies for you for your mobile event. I recommend all 3 of them depending on what your needs are. Obviously, you want to try to get away with the quieter, more compact, easy to transport ones, but if you need power, you got to go with this one. All right, moving on to our next section, we've got tents, right? So everybody needs a tent. You don't want to rely on the event itself to supply that for you. So check this out. These are 15% off right now. Crown Shades is the name of the company. I did some research on tents, and you definitely want to get the high crown version. A 10 by 10 is usually great for any kind of mobile event. This one particularly I picked out because it's easy to set up. It's got a center lock, so it's literally like 2 people. You can set it up super fast, and it comes with 4 walls if you need them, because sometimes these events can be, especially at craft shows, they can really cram you in, and you want a little bit of privacy in between you and the person on the side of you. But these tents are a great deal right now. They're 15% off. You can get them in multiple different colors depending on what your branding is for your event, and they come in also different sizes. So you can get 10 by 15, you can get a 10 by 20 if you need that much space. I'm just looking at the 10 by 10 tall center, so that gives you a little bit of headroom so it's not so crowded in there. This is a great deal on a mobile 10 by 10 tent. Comes with sandbags, all that stuff, and sandbags are important because sometimes it can be windy at these events. But you're definitely going to want to get yourself a 10 by 10 at the very minimum with some walls, and this is a great find for that. However, I will tell you that a lot of these tents say that they are weather resistant. That does not mean waterproof, and I have learned that the hard way. Sometimes you could be out at one of these events and you want the rain off of you. You do not want that in the tent. I've gone to craft shows and markets where I have seen it right after it rained, and it was a mess, and people's booths were soggy as they had weather resistant tents. What you want to do, moves us on to our next item, is you want to get yourself some Scotch Guard spray. And once you get that tent up, you want to spray the top of your tent with this Scotch Guard. I don't care how many cans of this you need to get. It's 20% off right now. But this is the way you're going to waterproof your tent for real. So that water just goes right off. And this works on regular tents, Doesn't matter what the material is, you want to get a coating of this on your tent in case it rains so it is not pooling or soaking through your tent, just to be safe. So don't say I didn't warn you. And if there's other products out there that you think are better, go for it. Just waterproof the material that your tent comes in, because I guarantee you it is not waterproof, but this will make it waterproof. All right, moving on to the next section. All right, now let's move on to lighting. Lighting is purely subjective. What kind of lighting do you want in your booth, in your tent? So if you want some kind of eclectic lighting or something a little bit softer, a little bit prettier, you might want to look at these type of bulb lights that you can hang inside your tent or around the outside of the tent. They're waterproof. They're not super bright white so that they don't give off that industrial look. Right now, they are not really on Prime Day deal, but I wanted to point them out anyway because it's just a great deal even without the discount. So you get 100 feet and it's a 2-pack of these globe lights that you can string and make look really pretty inside of your booth at your event for when the sun goes down. If it's an evening event or if it's early in the morning, you always need to have good lighting in your event, especially for late night events or with the time change that's coming up. This is really, really important. So this is the first one I picked out for you. It's $35.97 for a 2-pack of 100-foot lights. Pretty good deal. Can't beat it. Now, moving on to the next one. This is more of an industrial light. And what I liked about this one is not only that it's 20% off right now, but that this is very portable and it can be used either as a standing light, or you could just set it on your workstation where you're doing the laser engraving work up at the front table of your booth so people can see what's going on. But having good lighting in your booth, trust me, I know I know this from experience. It's very, very important, especially for evening events, because we're not just talking about like your own craft shows and art festivals. Sometimes you can get contracts to go work at events being an engraver for some kind of corporate event. And a lot of the times those happen in the evening. I've got one coming up next week and we need to bring our own lighting. And this is the kind of lighting that we bring. This one can be expanded up to 6 feet, or it can be shrunk down really small and work as a tabletop light. It's rechargeable. It doesn't require any cables or anything. So take a look at this one. The next one is an even taller light that could be put right in the middle of your booth, and it's got like a 360 light spread. So it kind of lights up the whole tent from the top. It goes up to 8 feet and gives you all around work lighting within your booth. I wish I would have had this a couple of events ago, but this one is really nice. It's got a remote control. It's also 20% off. So make sure you check out the Star 360. I really like the design of this, and you can see right here how tall it is. And it's not just like a beacon light. It actually shoots the light down, which is really cool. So that way all your surfaces within the tent, you're going to be able to see that. A lot of uses for this light. And then the last one, if you just want to hang a workshop light, and since you have mobile power, you'll be able to plug this light into any one of those power banks that I showed you. You can just hang one of these floodlights right in the center of the top of your tent, and this will light up all of your different stations. The one thing I didn't like about this is sometimes these white LED lights can be a little bit, I don't know, clinical, industrial, and it can kind of get really bright. And I didn't see any dimmer on this, but at $31, 20% off, I mean, this could be the light that you need to light up your whole tent for your mobile event. All right, so that's lighting. Let's move on to the next section. All right, now we're going to move on to the juicy bit. So if I want to do mobile laser engraving events, what kind of lasers should I bring to the mobile laser engraving event? And I've got a few, and actually they are on Prime Day big deals right now. Yes, that's right. The F1 Ultra by Xtool is actually on sale on Amazon right now. It's 24% off, and it is one of my top recommendations if you want to engrave pretty much anything at these mobile events. So it's got a 20-watt fiber laser, and it's got the 20-watt diode. It's got the camera. I mean, I've done videos on the F1 Ultra. It's a great machine, and I still think it's a great machine today, especially for doing mobile events. You can do coasters, you can do small cutting boards, you can do wooden coasters, you can do metal items. So if you're working on knives or other kinds of jewelry, you can do that. The thing to keep in mind when you're doing live engraving at these events is you want to keep the engravings that you're offering small and quick. You don't want to be taking on super custom orders at these events because they take too long and you'll be struggling trying to keep up with the next person in line. You want to get a slim offering, just a name and a date, something simple, on small items. And this is the kind of machine that can handle the work at these mobile events, and it can do it really quickly. So right now, the Xtool F1 Ultra is a prime big deal. It's on the big deal, baby, and it's 24% off. So that is my first recommendation for doing mobile laser engraving at any kind of event. And it's got the enclosure, which is super important when you're doing these mobile laser engraving events. You can't be out there with a class 4 laser in front of everybody. You want to get a system that has an enclosure first and foremost. And the F1 Ultra can engrave on many, many materials. All right, so F1 Ultra, not powerful enough for you, need to work faster, you know that you're going to have tons and tons of jobs, then maybe you want to look at the F2 Ultra, which is also discounted right now on Amazon at 18% off. Now, with this, you get the 60-watt MOPA and a 40-watt diode. So basically, what does that mean compared to the F1 Ultra? What it means for you is that you will be able to do these on-the-fly jobs much faster because you can run the machine at its top speeds because you have extra power. Yeah, you're going to pay for it. It's more expensive than the F1 Ultra, but this is also a great unit. And guess what? It has the enclosure. Safety first when you're working out in public. So this is my second recommendation. And all of these units that I'm recommending can be powered off the EcoFlow. They can be powered off the Wen, and they definitely can be powered off that massive generator I showed you. No problem for at least 3 hours, even more depending on what power supply you get. This is my second laser recommendation for doing mobile events. Next on the list, we have the CommMarker Omni X, their newest UV laser. So with the CommMarker Omni X, it's very similar to the Omni 1, but this one comes with an enclosure. And so people can watch you doing the UV laser engraving. You can work on glass with this, which is something you can't do with the other Xtool products live at an event. You can actually engrave ornaments at a Christmas event. You could do crystal ornaments. You could do customize any kind of glass items you could do at a mobile event with the CommMarker Omni X. I wouldn't recommend that you do the crystal engraving, even though this unit has the capability to do that, because those take a little bit longer and you want to keep your job run times to about 5 minutes when you're out in the wild doing mobile events. But the CommMarker Omni X UV laser is able to engrave on many, many different materials. It has a safety enclosure, and I think it would be great for doing a mobile event, especially if you wanted to engrave on glass or crystal. And then last but not least, believe it or not, yes, the Xtool S1 desktop gantry style laser can totally be run off those power supplies that I told you, or a regular power supply if your event has it. This, why would you bring this? So it's not as tall and compact as the other ones, but this one would allow you to do larger cutting boards at some of these events or multiple wooden items at once. And that's why I wanted to throw it in there. Right now, this one's 25% off. So it's a great deal on the S1, and it's just a different way to look at things. Yes, you're not going to be able to engrave on metal with the S1. So if that's your thing, you might want to look at the F series of the Xtool, but this one will definitely allow you to group a lot of different diode friendly items all at once and do batch engravings at mobile events. This one can easily be powered by any of those power supplies. Those are my 4 recommendations for doing mobile events, and they're all discounted right now. And even though the Omni X isn't on Amazon right now, I'll list a link in the description below with a discount code, and you can definitely go check that out if that's something you need, because you know you're going to be working on a lot of glass and crystal. I'll let you decide. All right, let's move on to the next section. All right, now we're going to talk about fume extraction because it's very important if you're doing engraving at mobile events that you have good fume extraction. And the first one I'm going to show you is my favorite of all time, super pro level, kind of expensive when it comes to fume extractors, but worth every penny. I literally use this machine every single day in my shop, and I've taken it on multiple mobile events. It is one of the best compact fume extractors that I have come across, and that is the Filtrbox Micro. You can see right there, they're not trying to hide the price or anything. It's about $2,000. It's a very powerful unit. So whether you're running the F1 Ultra, the F2 Ultra, the S1, whether you're engraving leather, wood, acrylic, metal, it doesn't matter. This machine right here is a very efficient fume extractor. You may need to get different adapters to adapt down to the small hoses with some of those mobile laser engravers, but you cannot go wrong with this machine. It's not on Amazon right now and it's not discounted, but what I can do is I will list a link in the description below with a way to get a hold of Filtrbox and a discount code that you can use to get an extra year of warranty when you get one of these Filtrbox Micros. It's literally my favorite little fume extractor because it just does such a good job and the filters last a long time and it's just very efficient. And one of the other things I like about the Filtrbox Micro is that if you're wondering which one of the filters is going bad, you can put it into test mode, take the top off and put each filter on one by one and run it in test mode, and it will tell you which one needs to be replaced rather than just buying a whole set of all three and replacing all of them, which I think is very smart and very cost saving. So that's my top recommendation. I understand everybody's budget is different, but if I had one choice for you, it would be this Micro right here. Now, my second recommendation for mobile fume extraction, of course, we're going to go to the Xtool Safety Pro AP2. Now, I know that they just came out with like an even bigger one, but I don't recommend that for mobile events because it is big. This one is totally portable. It's also on sale right now on Amazon for 15% off. It's very compact, very easy to lift up, put in the car and take with you, and it does a pretty good job. I've had one here for a while. If I had to say anything about it is that I feel like the filters do get clogged up a lot faster than the Micro, and you're gonna find yourself replacing filters more often than I'd like to see. But overall, if you're just doing light engravings here and there, it does a really good job at extracting those fumes. You won't smell anything. Doesn't matter what you're engraving or cutting. It's a nice little unit. It usually goes for about $1,000. It's nice to see that it's 15% off here. So that's my second recommendation. I wouldn't recommend any of the other fume extractors that you might find around Amazon, even if they're on sale right now. I've tried them before and they just don't do a good enough job of getting rid of all the smell. And the last thing you want is your neighbors at these mobile laser engraving craft shows or events complaining that you're chuffing out weird smells from the stuff you're engraving. Trust me, it's not a good look. All right, let's move on to the next section. All right, next we're going to talk about tables and chairs for your mobile booth that you set up for your laser engraving event. So the reason I picked this 8-foot table on is it fits very nicely in the front of a 10 by 10 tent if you're not going to have a walk-in type tent, which I don't think you would, especially if you're doing live laser engraving. You're probably going to be doing that towards the back of the tent. So this makes a good kind of blocker for your workstation, and also it's very sturdy. So you could use these on the inside of the tent. You can use them at the front of the tent with a nice tablecloth, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you'll notice that this particular 8-foot folding table has a center support. That is key. Also, the fact that it's 30% off right now, but you want to have these sturdy types of mobile tables to hold the weight of the equipment and your computer. I mean, the F2 Ultra is a pretty heavy unit, right? You want to have something sturdy, and you especially want to have something sturdy if you've got a gantry style laser that's moving back and forth. You don't want that rocking the table. So having that center support is really important. So that is my choice for 8-foot tables. Next up, we've got other 6-foot tables that you might want to bring inside the tent and have those stock all your stock or your supplies or things like that. This one's a little bit more lightweight. I wouldn't recommend that you put your equipment on this 6-foot table, but it is 40% off right now. So I wanted to bring it up so you could have one 8-foot in the front and some 6s inside the tent, or multiple 8s on the inside of the tent. I'll let you decide how you want to set it up, but these type of folding tables are the type of tables that you want to be able to pack up and bring to set up your booth quickly. So you want them lightweight, but you want them sturdy. Next, let's talk about making those tables look a little nicer. So this isn't really a big Prime Day deal right now, but it is something that I always use at any of my mobile events. And it doesn't have to be this one particularly, but it should be some kind of branded tablecloth that covers the ugliness of these 8-foot tables. So I found this listing. You can get custom sublimation on it. You can get your logo on the front. You can get some more printing on the top and even on the sides. And it comes in 8-foot, 6-foot, all the different size tables. And it's kind of a spandex material, so it kind of conforms to the table. It just looks nicer than just having that white table out there. So consider getting some kind of table coverings for all your tables. And if you can, get it branded so you can show because remember, when you're at these mobile events, you're not just there to make money. You're there also to brand yourself and let people know that you exist. So even if you don't make a lot of sales at these events at first, you're still advertising. So make sure your booth looks nice, looks branded, cover those ugly tables with something like this. And then last but not least, you're definitely going to need some chairs, and not those standard plastic folding chairs. Trust me. Sometimes you're sitting, sometimes you're up, standing up, hustling. But when you are sitting, you are going to want to have some petting on your tush. So I have learned this the hard way. They always have the same folding chairs at these events. So I like to bring my own. I try to bring cushion chairs when I can. This set is 20% off. Very nice set of folding chairs. They're metal, they're sturdy, getting comfortable chairs to bring to your mobile laser engraving event. All right, and then let's move on to our last section and some bonus picks. All right, we're finally coming to the end of the list here, and I thought, well, you know what? How are you going to get all this stuff from your car to your mobile laser engraving booth that you just set up or you want to set up? And you would be surprised at different craft shows, at different events. I've had to haul my equipment a long way. And it's one important question you always want to ask before doing mobile laser engraving events is, where do I have to park and how far do I have to haul my stuff to set up my booth? So always make sure you ask that before you sign up for these events or get a space at a craft fair. But when it's time to haul all your stuff, you're going to want to have some good carts. So now we're going to talk about that. The first one on the pick that I found is 20% off right now. And it is kind of like this multi-cart that can transform into many different formations depending on what you need. You can use it as a dolly. You can use it as a cart. It's super compact, super lightweight. It says it's able to hold up to 330 pounds. You know, it's a pretty cool cart, and the fact that it's 20% off right now, I'm always thinking of things that fold up nice and tight, things that are lightweight that can help me get the job done. So I picked this cart to share with you in hopes that it might give you some ideas on how to get all your gear over to your event site. Next up, you might need something with a little bit more oomph to it or something with some walls. So I found this collapsible wagon style cart that you can load all your stuff into. Carts are really important at this event because sometimes you can't just pull up right to where your tent's supposed to be. So make sure you get some kind of dolly cart, some kind of flat cart, and some kind of wagon cart. This one was 18% off. It's highly rated on Amazon. It's got a 220 pound or 460 pound capacity. I'm probably never going to test that, but it's rated for being very, very sturdy, and that's why I picked it to show to you guys. And one final bonus thing that I just realized at the very end that we didn't really talk about is, how are you going to connect to all your lasers and everything like that? So I normally talk about the mini computers and monitors and things like that, but I find when I do mobile events, having a laptop is just so much easier. Once again, we're thinking easy, want to transport it in, transport it out with not a bunch of wires. So there's a great deal right now, and we'll end it with this, with a really nice laptop with some great specs. It's 68% off. It's got a nice 17.6-inch display instead of like the normal 14 or 15-inch display, so it's a little bit bigger. It's got plenty of storage on it. It's got Windows 11, everything you need to run Lightburn, Adobe Illustrator, whatever it is that you need to run Canva at your event. This laptop is going to run all that software with ease. It's not going to draw a lot of power from your mobile power supplies, and it should be more than enough to run your mobile laser engraving event. So that's it. I've listed links in the description below of everything that we've talked about today, and they are affiliate links for Amazon. So if you feel like supporting the channel, please use them if you're thinking about buying any of this stuff. I've got some great videos coming up for you pretty soon. I want to thank everyone who's been a part of this channel again and helping us reach 100,000 subscribers. That was amazing, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. So until next time, we'll see you around on Laser Engraving 911.